Hey, welcome back to James's Repair Shop. In this video, we'll be working on the right rear wheelhouse on this old 65 Thunderbird. You'll see that I have done quite a bit of work to it. It's not done yet. There's a couple spots that need to be finished back here. This needs to be finished down in there. But I had the rear portion done, inside. You'll see me do that. Repair the inner wheelhouse on this side. And you'll see me repair this part. And you'll see me making this piece and having it put in. So anyway, we'll get on to the video. Thanks a lot. Now, to tackle this here, this wheelhouse. So I do have the wheelhouse I took out of the parts car, and there's not a lot of difference in the condition of them overall, except this area here. And I'm trying to avoid disturbing all these spot welds here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the donor piece just for sections. So I'm going to cut out this piece, and I'm going to cut out the piece inside, which you probably can't see, but I'll show it to you when we get to it. So I'm going to mark off this area here, and I'm going to cut this out, but just as much as I need. Like I'm only going to cut as much away as the rust is there and get back to good metal. And then I'm going to leave that out so I can work on the inside, because the inside, with this out, I have a better visual of the inside. And then I'll put this back in. And I have the pieces, so anybody that's wasn't with me earlier on in this channel, I do have sections, donor sections. So this section, or this wheelhouse from the donor car, has most of this here piece that goes on the back of the, I'll show you where it goes on this car, where this one here is missing. It has just a little strip of it on the lower wheelhouse extension, the rear wheelhouse extension. So what I'm going to have to do, I'll model it, since I have a line here to work with, and I have the piece on the donor wheelhouse, I'll build a piece that goes in there to what I think it should look like. And it's not all complete, but the curve is there, the shape is still there, so I think I can duplicate that no trouble. Now the front, let's go over here. And like I said in an earlier video as well, this area here, I left the outer member off until I get this built, because there's some corners that have to be done there that tie into all this. So I'm just gonna, this will be probably the last section I build on this wheelhouse. So, but the first, and then of course, I have a lot of this still here to try to figure it out. And then and between the two pieces, and this is where the front goes back. So between the two parts, I should be able to figure out what this section here to build it. This section looks like to build it for a replacement part. But for now, for this immediate bit of video, let's just get this stuff done. Then we can work our way down. All right, so I'll get some tools. And we'll get that spot cut out. All right, I got her marked off. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'll go inside and have to figure out what I'm going to do in there. But let's get this cut first. Got a hole poked in. I noticed a little tension on that when I was cutting it. This popped out some, so that's telling me there's a little tension here on this, and it probably got pushed in some when it lost its structure. So anyway, I have that piece. I'll save it, and I'll match it up with a piece on the other part when the time comes. So I'll just put it in the save bin for now. All right, so I'm gonna go underneath and figure out what I'm gonna do there. Got the hole cut out. Let's have a little peek in there and see what's going on. Okay, so There's hit to go from over here. This is solid there. It's solid up in here, and it goes over to there. It's solid, and then it's solid down to this flange. And this flange has a little dip in it, like a step. So I won't be touching any of that right there. I'll be cutting close to that. So that's the plan. I think this car, why it rusted so funny there, you can see it seems like it rusted from the wheel side outward on both sides. It's almost like they had something sitting on the tire, on top of the tire, that held moisture. Maybe like a blanket or something was stuck up there and the moisture ate through. It's only on this side. The driver's side doesn't have this issue that I could see. And it's almost like something was retaining moisture and rusting through. So the only thing I could think of was that they had, when the wheel was on it, there was something jammed up in there, maybe insulation or something that held moisture. I don't know, but it's a weird way for it to rust. And it all seems to be from the inner side of the wheel well out on both sides, but only in that place. Well, I say only in that place. Looks pretty rusty there too, so it wasn't only in that place, but this is the only spot that's weird. All right, so I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do in here and bring you right back when I do. All right, I started doing it and I didn't video, but I decided to start taking the undercoating off so it doesn't burn on me. Let me get the light up here brighter. So what I have is this body file. I already did this once, so I'm doing this twice. So I have this body file. It's a Chicago pneumatic. I think it's Harbor Freight. And this is a windshield remover blade. And this blade is, I don't know if you can see that very well or not. It's kind of flat on one side and tapered on the other. So what I do is I use the flat side against the metal, and I'll show you. And it takes off the filler, or the undercoating. Anyway, you get the idea. It works really quickly. I'll clean it all up, get rid of that undercoating. And I wish I had the name of these blades. Maybe someone will recognize them, I don't know. It's mostly gone off it now. It's a WWK something. Oh, RTS, I think. Anyway, I haven't been able to find them again. I got them quite a while ago. I had a pair of them. The one was wider than this. This is the narrow one. So if anybody knows, maybe you can add it to the comments. Of course, I had never really looked super hard because I already had them. But it works really well for taking undercoating off. Well, there we go. Looking through the hole here. That's why I left this hole. And now I can see the other side a lot easier, and I can weld and all that jazz. Both of these are going to have to be welded on inside and out the best I can. This is going to be a little more difficult here to weld both sides. Well, it's impossible actually, not difficult. This side over here will be easier, and the rest of this will be not too bad. Welding the other side of this may be, no, there's quite a bit of access there. I think I can get at it. Yeah, there's a lot of access. So I'll be able to weld both sides on the inner part. So now I'm gonna get my grinder, and I'm just gonna clean up this area. This is all pretty darn good metal here now. And I saved the piece to make an oversized piece from the spare part. And let's get her done. I'll get this out of here, and I'll start getting the piece cut out of the donor wheelhouse. Well, I got that all cleaned up for the most part, but you'll notice right here there's a hole, and there's absolutely no way that I could fix that from the other side. So fortunately, I'm able to get in here and patch this up. And you'll notice here, there's not one lick of primer on this car in that area. That's bare metal. And that's been bare metal since 1965. So goes to show that you don't necessarily need primer on everything, you just need it to be dry. So obviously that was dry enough to stay just like shiny metal. I don't know if Ford treated their stuff with pickling or anything. I suspect they had something on their steel to pickle it. But anyway, I'm sure what little bit of the little bit of fixing I do and some priming will make this car, you know, make this area last a lot longer. Anyway, I got her out, and I'll have to weld a piece in there, and I'm gonna have to get the pieces made. All right, better get at her. Well, that's an interesting perspective of things. I got the outer one, the inner one, and another inner one. It's like a little window into the window into the window. Anyway, I got her cut out. Now I'll start fixing things, and I'll rust treat all that, and I'll prime it. This time it'll have primer on it. Last another 50 years, and yeah. And then this part of the wheel arch will be done, and then I'll have to work on the rest. All right, that's all in place. You can still see where I did the work. That's fine. It'll never ever be seen again, not in my lifetime, and it should be plenty strong enough. So now I'll be doing the inner wheelhouse section. So I'll have to cut a piece out of the donor car one. All right, so I did etch prime that. That's what's on there. There she is. I got a patch panel cut out. I'll have to clean it up now, and then I'll cut and butt it in the best I can. It's fitting flush behind that brace, so that's a good spot to start tacking it, and I can cut and butt out from there, and I'll be able to get the little pieces that are left. That way I don't have to spend half an hour or so just trying to fit it in nicely. But it does need to be cleaned up really well, and I'll get her burnt in, and I'll have to fix those holes because on the hardtop the spot welds are in a different place. And then I'll have to drill. I put the Cleco in, so I know the Cleco holes are in that area, so I'm gonna have to put a few plug weld holes in, probably 4, maybe do a pattern, 5 pattern, like a dice. All right, doesn't matter how I do it as long as I do it. All right, let's get her done. Well, there we go. She's pretty much all ground up. It's not the prettiest thing, but you know, it's inside of a wheel well, and I'll continue to doctor it up a little bit as I go. But holy moly, that's a lot of grinding. My least favorite of this whole job is the grinding. Anyway, here it is out here. It wouldn't hurt to go over it with some finer grit stuff just to clean it up some. But for now, until I get ready to paint this thing, or to prime all this area, which I'll be doing as I go, this will probably be good enough. A little unfinished looking there, but is it that important? I don't know. I think with a little bit of dressing on that. Thing is, I don't want to take too much strength away from it, so I'm trying to keep as much on as I can. So anyway, I'm going to leave that portion for now, and then I'm going to go out here, and I'm going to do this piece. I get this right on, like this is the wrong way. Nope, this is the right way. So I have this piece ready to go on, like so. So I guess this will be the next piece to put in. Yeah, like so. Just like so. All right, so let me get that burnt in and ground off, and we'll get back to you. I don't think showing a whole bunch of grinding is really that productive. It makes for a boring video. So with this kind of thing here, unless I'm building something, I'm going to just jump in and out. Yeah, once I start forming this lip here, I'll show more of that. But this is just grinding and burning and grinding. It's like pretty boring stuff. All right, so let me get this done here, and we'll get back to you. Well, there it is. Got that patch done on the outside. She's not super pretty, but obviously you can see the weld marks, but I'll cover that with some sealer. There's a few pinholes on the inside one. Like this, I did all that. So that's all patched now. So that's good. So like I say, there's still some pinholes, I'll get them. This seems to be pretty good. There might be a couple pinholes in there. But this is, again, never going to be seen again, but she's solid now. All right, so I just measured up a piece for this. So I measured basically from here to there. So that's 24 inches, and I'm going to be 8 inches wide. So what I'm going to try to do, I'll get a piece of steel and I'll lay it against the quarter panel, the arch that I built, and I'm going to try to get a line for this flange, and I'm going to tip that flange on my bead roller. I have it. I should be using it. Now, I don't know how successful this project's going to be. So basically, but we'll see. So basically, it'll be coming to here, and then I'll build pieces in here to fix that. So I'll only be going that far with it, or wherever I can get it to go. And then once I get a piece established in this area, I'll start working on that end, and then I'll start working on this end. All right, I got a piece of steel cut. That's 8 by, actually I went 30 something, just because it was the full length of that sheet, I think 38. And I'll just trim off what I don't need, but for now, that's what I have. That's 8 inches deep. I put it under the fender, took the quarter panel rather, took a line off of the inside because that's what it has to match. So now I'm going to get set up and I'm going to get the tipping wheel on and see how this goes. All right, I hope you can see this. So I've got it marked in. I had to flip it over and mark it because this has to go on the right way. If I did it on the other side, it would be the wrong way. That's for the other side. So let's see if I can do this and not whack you guys off the tripod here. So I've got a scribe line. You probably can't see it. So get this down tight. So what I'm doing, I'm aligning the scribe line up with the point on the roller. So there, the roller is hit, that's where it's on the steel, so I'll just give it a little more. You don't need much on a tipping wheel, that's what I'm understanding. So let me just run this through. And we'll get a mark on it first. That's a little fast. Let's see if we can do this. All right. Now you're supposed to be, for tipping, it's meant to go up, so pushing up on it. Back. I get off track there a little bit. There we go. Back online. Well, it's the start of it. Let's see if we can do it again. This time I'll put some upward pressure on it. Might be a little wavy, probably have to do a little hammer and dolly to get this straightened out, but well, she's coming. Like I say, I may have to do a little hammer and dollying to get it straightened away, but hey, why not? Hope you're on. Oh yeah, you guys are seeing. All right, I'm gonna try it again. So fairly long piece, probably should have had help with this. Let's start again. The corners. All right. Yeah, she's coming. All right, I'm gonna put it one more time, but I'm gonna give it a little more pressure. My first time with using this like that. All right, let's give it a little bit more pressure. I'll probably end up dollying this over something, and that's fine. So I'll have to tweak it anyway. I'm up against that end bolt now, so as high up as this flange is going to tip. All right, well, got some curling happening there, but that's okay. We'll get her once we get this folded. I can shrink that with a shrinker, but that's as high as I can get with that right now. So I'm gonna start hammering it and shrinking it and stuff. So I'm gonna work it a little bit, but let's go have a look on the vehicle, see if it's anywhere near close. It's gonna be hard to tell with the way it's bent like that. But yeah, I think it should be fine. All right, let me get this all straightened away and get back to you on it. There now, I think I can make that work. It's got the nice arch that follows it, and I'll just have to now mold it into the car, into the wheelhouse, and see how it goes. I know there'll be some fancy footwork here and there on that end up there, because there's a bit of a roll to it. There's a whole roll only, which I should do is put a roll in it. But I think what I'm gonna do is put the quarter panel back on first, and then I'll set this in, and then I'll put the quarter on and see how it looks. Back at the old bead roller. Now, put her in forward. And now I'm doing that little bit of I just want to roll this pan a little bit so it wraps into the wheelhouse. So let's see what happens. I'll probably have to fiddle with this a few times, but let's see if we can get something done here. So I need to get it's kind of an awkward one. It's quite long, and to get the angle, so I'm gonna have to start and stop maybe. But I need to get this rolled up, so I'm gonna go on the other side first. All right, let's see what we can do with this. So I'm trying to keep I want the roll, I marked off a line, I want the roll to be outside that line, so that's kind of where I'm at right here. This will take a few runs, I'm sure. Well, I gave it a little bit. Might be just enough, I don't know. It's a slight amount that I'm looking for here. That bead roller digs in. I should have used a different guy on the bottom because it's digging into it. But that's okay because, again, that's going to be all up top. It's no big deal. But if I was doing something like a quarter panel, I would have to make sure I didn't do that to it because it's a bit of a mess there like that. All right, let's get a little more on it maybe. Alright, we'll see how this goes. Probably time to trim some of this off. Oh yeah, that's getting quite a roll on there. That didn't take much actually. Yeah, like I say, I'm not fond of that marking, but I can get rid of that by doing, get a little off there. But this is all going to be welded in, so all I'm after is this. I just want this roll. All right, I'm going to go over and see how it looks. All right. Now I've been manipulating this a little bit. I ran this piece back through the bead roller again a couple of times and made a couple of messes. Got a great big etch mark in there, and if this were a quarter panel for the outer skin, I'd have to redo it, but since it's an inner panel, I'm just going to go with it. So what I've been doing, oh, and I discovered that if I just read a little more on bead rolling or watched a little more on bead rolling, that using the lower die with that tipping die I last used to get this curve here, if I just used the urethane wheel that came with it, it does a better job. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm trying to get that rounded off. I made a bunch of lines, but again, this is a hidden part, never be seen again. But you want to do the best you can, and for right now, this is kind of where I am. So what I'm doing is I have a piece here of the original arch, wheel arch, nothing back here. So what I did go with that, and also, as you saw, I made it up to the old fender, the old quarter panel, and it seemed to fit quite well. So now I know that this is going to mate with the quarter panel, this piece here, if you can see it, and I know this is good because it came from the original car. I don't have to do much with that other than just kind of match it in, but it leaves, if you can see the back, now it leaves where does the wheel arch sit on the back, and I had a cleco in it just to hold it, but I need to bring this slip. It's rolled in too much. It needs to be straightened out some. That's easy. I'll do that with the hammer and dolly. So what I'm thinking to do, and I'm starting to wrap it, right? So it's starting to wrap around this part. It's long enough to go beyond here, which is the termination point of this outer wheelhouse. So what I'm going to do, because like I said, I have that nailed down. I know what that is. And also on the old quarter panel, or the old wheelhouse, if you can see it. Maybe I'm moving it around for nothing. I'll bring you in, show you what I'm talking about here. So on the old wheelhouse that I took out of the green Thunderbird, this piece is still here as well. So if I take a center line up here, doesn't matter where, but this is kind of the center line, but that piece right there. And I do the center line and I measure over to a point that I can duplicate down here with ease, which would be anywhere kind of in this area, because you can see where this kind of lines up. So I really need just a measure point that's fixed. So like I said, center line and then come over and go with a square and come straight down. Because this line here is relatively, it's got a little arch in it, but it doesn't matter as long as I do the same on the other one to get the measurement. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll get that measured off, and then once I get the reference line built, I'll know how high to put the back end of this, and I can put some clecos in, and I can always return it to the same spot and continue folding around the front and back areas to try to get that. This one here, I may cut it off because this metal is good right here. I don't know if you can see it. This metal here is pretty solid, so if I can just get it to wrap over that up here, I'm fine with that. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll get back to you when I have something to show. All right, I got a couple of things done with the old girl here. This needed to come up and kind of go flat again, so I ran it through the bead roller again to put that back on. This is not going to be exactly the same as it was, for sure, but I want it to be solid, and I'll do the best I can with it. This now needs to be rolled. This needs to be rolled that way, and this needs to be rolled that way. So I'll have to continue to do something. I might be able to do it on the English wheel. Just keep rolling it over. I think I'll try that. Good practice too. Anyway, I have the depth, like the height, Where did my tape go? So I measured a couple places. There's the center line. I did the same on the other one. I went over with a square because this line swoops upward. I ran a straight line over, and then the same on this one up here, the old part. And then I ran a line squared off, a line straight down in two places. One at, I think it was at 9 inches and one was 11 inches. And going down from that line was 6 inches to the lip. So I'm pretty much bang on. It'll be close enough for this puppy. I mean, nothing is ever 100% after you've done this much work. But I don't like this bulge right here, so I'm going to put, like I said, I'll do the English wheel and clean up some of this, try to, and then I'll start over again with the folding over. But I have the clecos, unless it changes because of this, which it could change the height, and I might have to move this some. But I'll measure it again. In the end, it'll be 6 inches at this point down to the wheel lip. All right. I got lots of work to do, so I better get at it. All right, there she is. I got the panel made up, ready to cut and butt it in. Couple of spots are just a little gappy, but I mean, this has all been tortured and beat up some. I did cheat a little bit here, trying to get this shape. I just slid it and brought it in and welded it. But that was the only place I had to do any of that kind of work. Over on this end, I've got part of the flange put on, and I'll just continue on. I'll weld another piece in here as I need it. But I think it looks pretty good. This is just a little gappy right there, but it's got a little tension to hold that out. And I was thinking this might have dropped in a tiny bit. But anyway, it's going to be all hidden behind quarter panel. But now I'm going to get it burnt in, and we'll see where we go from there. There we go. Got her burnt in. As much as I'm going to do for now. A little thin there, so I got to do a little patching. Of course, obviously down through here as well. This one here, this piece will have to come out and then back in and down. It still has the form of it, so I have that. And I believe on the other parts one, it has that piece too. And then I can continue down there. So that's it. I didn't go crazy on the grinding because it's hidden and I want to keep as much strength as I can. And I started the flange like I mentioned just a bit ago. This one is tipped in a little too far, so I'm going to have to bend that out. And I'll continue on. But yeah, so that's the bulk, really the bulk of the wheelhouse done. So yeah. Oh, let's just check to see what time it is. Hey, look, it's 12 after 5. It's quitting time. Yeah, there's a story behind that. It's like I mentioned to George in a comment that clock was getting noisy, so I just unplugged it one day. This is a long, long time ago. But yeah, and I tried to pass it off as when I retired, that was quitting time, and I just unplugged the clock, but that's not the truth. It's just, yeah, it needs to be cleaned and plugged in. But that's it. She's quitting time, so it's 12 after 5. And maybe I'll just leave that there, and then it'll always be quitting time. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching this episode of working on the old Thunderbird here. I really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate that as well. And hit the notification button for some future content on this Thunderbird and maybe something else. You never know what will go through this shop. So anyway, thanks a lot, and guys and girls, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.